Hello, adventurers, and welcome to episode 9 of CORECAST The Corepunk podcast. I'm your host, the creator called BOAST, and with me tonight are two guests from the lands north. Returning to the show, the Blue Deer DVALIN. That's DVALIN on YouTube, and you can catch him for Corepunk live streams and video content there on that channel. DVALIN, welcome back to CORECAST.
Thanks for having me again. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. And for the first time on the show, we have ZeakQ, who's been doing God's work in the Discord, keeping the kiddos calm and realistic in their expectations. So a massive shout out to you, ZeakQ, for that, and welcome to CORECAST.
Thank you for having me. It's going to be great. How long have you been trying to set this up?
Yeah, for quite some time, since the very beginning. Many things have come in the way of that. Most of that, the fault of the world, but what can we do, right?
Yeah.
You can find ZeakQ at twitch.tv/ZeakQ. That's ZeakQ. And we can expect some top-tier Corepunk live streams from there when the game is live. Before we get started on our main topics of the quarterly update, it's first time to get to know our newest guest, ZeakQ. Zeke, we've been talking, as we just mentioned, for a long time about getting you on here. We finally have the pleasure to do that. And so now you are in the hot seat. To start, just please give us a short introduction about yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Right. I'm Zeke. Real name is Frederick. I'm from Sweden, 27 years old. I'm working in IT, and I mostly dabble in shooters, but I've been looking towards the MMO space of having something more, more experience, you engaged in a world instead of just in a smaller scale shooter, basically. So that's going to be quite interesting. I've played some MMOs before, like EVE Online, and tried World of Warcraft, but I've mostly been playing Dota as well. So I really like the style of Corepunk so far.
Yeah, very cool. So this will be kind of the best of both worlds for you, it sounds like.
Yeah, exactly.
Very cool. So how did you get into games? What was your start of your illustrious career?
Oh, wow. That would probably be... I started playing, Nintendo, back when I was a kid, early 90s. And then I just got a PlayStation 2, and then I went from there to PC. And I shared that one with my brother, the first one, and we started playing Diablo 2, and then I slowly gravitated towards shooters, and he still kept on the RPG MMO type games.
Okay, very cool. And with that said, what was the first game that really clicked in your head as this is the passion, this is the moment I've been waiting for, and this is what I want to pursue. This is going to transition me from being someone who plays games into being someone who lives games?
That would probably be Morrowind. I didn't know English very well back then, but just getting in there, getting off the ship, and loading up into the first town, and I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. This is huge. It was great. That made me realize how big games can be and how many people sure, it's a single player experience, but plenty of people can play the same game and have very different experiences. It doesn't matter what game you play.
And that's cool. That's also a good point as far as languages go, because there's typically a few languages that are localized these days. But when was do you remember the time when you started getting games in your native language, or is that still difficult to do today?
Oh, wow. No, I was a couple of years after that. We had school games that were named first grade and second grade and so on, that were localized language. And then there were some more fun type games that weren't as serious. More kids games though are mostly translated to Swedish, but now I feel majority of the games have, or the big ones like Dota. Don't know if League does, but Dota and Counter-Strike have Swedish subtitles, and like contact menus and everything in Swedish as well.
Okay, cool.
And
Yeah, it's easy, like especially being from an English country, but also English, French, Italian, German, and Spanish are the like the big ones that are translated for pretty much every game, or at least every AAA game. So even being in Germany and getting things in German is pretty easy to do. So I think it's something a lot of us take for granted, that
Yeah.
games are in our language.
yeah, that's true. One really cool thing about Corepunk though is Irene sent me a message when the gameplay trailer released and asked me to proofread the Swedish translations for the trailer, which was pretty cool. So
Very
they have
cool.
language trailers for like a lot of languages for the gameplay trailer that came out like 6 months ago, I think. I'm sure it was around there.
Yeah, that's really cool. Who knows anymore when stuff came out?
Yeah, true. Fucking
It's
time
been
goes
a
fast.
crazy 6 months or so.
Yeah.
So, what are your top 3 games all time,
Oh.
to put you on the spot?
Oh yeah, that was a hard one. I mean, I love shooters, so probably Call of Duty 4 in terms of single player and multiplayer. That was amazing. Counter-Strike 1.6 is also really great. But I said I love RPG games, so I started with Morrowind, but I'd say Skyrim is actually one of my top 3 as well. I'm really hyped for the Elder Scrolls 6 they've just released a teaser on, but I'm pretty hyped for that.
Cool. And then how'd you end up fanboying for Corepunk like the rest of us, so to speak?
Oh wow. I mean, nothing special really. I just browsed YouTube one day and checked instead of going to subscriptions every day, I went to the home site, the homepage, and they had like IGN and the trailer. So I was like, IGN does pretty like good reputation stuff or reporting stuff, journalism and so on. And so I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'll watch it. And I just watched it, and I was like, this looks pretty good. I will look into it, and I just checked if they had a Reddit, because everybody has a Reddit nowadays. I feel like every company, every game studio, every person basically. And I just checked from there, and there I found the Discord, and that's when I joined.
Cool. Yeah, you've been around for a while and still holding it down in there.
I'm trying to.
DVALIN, did you know all this about your friend, or is any of this new to you?
I knew that.
Okay, well, DVALIN, you know what time it is. It's time
It is.
for the Dream Class.
Du-du-du-du.
We've gone through many Dream Classes so far on the podcast, and you've changed yours over time. That's how long we've been doing this now. That's pretty amazing, right?
Yeah.
That said, though, before we get into Zeke's, do you want to make any changes or any more requests? Now's the time to do it.
I think it will be pretty hard against Eugene for changing it now, since he confirmed my latest Dream Class is probably going to be in the game. So I think I'm going to pause on that one and keep it.
Okay. So Zeke, as you know, we started this tradition on here of discussing dream classes. And since you are the new guest, it's time for you to tell us what your dream class is. If you could design a character, class, hero spec, whatever it may be at this point in relation to the game, not worrying about what we knew about the game or what we know about the game now, but just if you had your way to create your dream class and have it be in Corepunk, what would that look like, and what would that be?
Wow. Yeah, I really like stealth assassins, but I want them to be squishy and not be able to take a lot of damage. So I don't know if any of you have played EVE Online, but they have a specific ship there that is a stealth bomber. It's tiny. It doesn't have a lot of HP, but it can deal massive damage, and that's kind of what I want to play, but as a stealth assassin. So nothing like permanent stealth or anything like that. Like short temporary stealth, but you can deal massive damage and you don't have a lot of HP. And to be able to pull it off and play it properly, you have to be really skilled. So skill shots or something like that that goes hand in hand with that would be great. And I don't like poison that much. I like raw damage dealing instead, from like a dagger or a knife or a sword or something, instead of poison that does the damage for me, basically.
Like burst damage rather than damage over time kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's cool. And I do hope we have something like this in here. I think if this is truly inspired by MOBAs, as it appears to be, and as we've been told it is, I think there's no way this game doesn't have a character like that. That said, what does this character look like in your head? Have you envisioned what this character might look like? What kind of like race or anything like that it might it might look like, or what it's wearing, what kind of armor it has, that sort of stuff?
I don't know. Probably hard studded leather for body armor and shrouded over like a hoodie. Maybe a cloak. Probably not. Hopefully Elenian. I don't know. No. Race I haven't really thought about. Maybe tall and lanky, I guess, to be able to move easier. That's it, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I think
like typical rogue, typical assassin.
Nice roguelike character for your Alanian kingdom, coming out of the shadows of the forest.
Yeah. Gotta have some spies, right?
That's right. I think it fits. I think an assassin coming out of the kingdom fits for sure. I've been thinking so much more about this, you guys, as far as what the cultures mean to us when we're in the game, and how that plays into the map that we've spied on the wall of their office and how that's currently laid out. We can get more into that later, but yeah, I'm really starting to get like super hyped to see how this all plays out with the cultures and what that means for us as players. Anything else to add for your dream class?
I really, really hope it's in the game or some close version to it. Maybe this will persuade some of them to actually maybe make something.
Yeah, right. If you're listening out there, DVALIN, would you let this character, this hero that Zeak just described, would you let this this character roll in your raid? Is this part of your raid party?
I mean, everyone needs a rogue in your group. They always, for some reason, always end up being the meta in damage dealing, until someone nerfed them because they cry about them. So yeah, I would definitely say add rogues to this game. It would be cool, but I really hope we're gonna see no perma stealth, but like limited stealth, because it will change it so much. And also, you don't need perma stealth because this game is gonna have fog of war. So just give us those 10, 20, 30 second stealth, and that should be all.
I would say closer to 10 or 20, preferably on my part. 30 might be a bit long, because then you can dip in from Fog of War and dip out.
Yeah, and then also the cooldown has to be some kind of punishment.
Oh yeah, of course.
Probably like 27 minutes.
Yeah.
No, okay, probably like 2.
Yeah.
I think this is going to play a big part in open world PvP and arenas for sure as well.
Yeah, that's what I like to be a part of as well, because I'm heavily based, or I prefer PvP combat over PvE. Sure, I love the cooperation of PvE, but in my opinion, nothing feels better when you beat someone who's trying to beat you and you manage to outplay or outsmart that guy.
But don't you have like a favorite? I mean, if you could choose, if you could go inside Eugene's head, like put your fingers inside his brain and twist it, what kind of race would your dream class be? Should it be like kind of a demon with horns, or should it be like a old lady with gray hair, or should it be like an orc? What kind of race do you think in your head would be so cool?
Before you answer that, Artificial Core, we need DVALIN on the think tank for character design. Please get him in there. Get him talking about his character ideas. Little lady hag from the swamp assassin, and the little demon character with horns. I'm loving these so far.
Very creative.
Yeah.
I would probably prefer some sort of elf, half elf or full elf. I always like these long ears, and they're also usually pretty stealthy when it comes to other games and D&D and so on. So that's kind of why I feel like that's like my typical go-to class or race.
Yeah, I could see your class definitely be there, that you have one spec that is 2 daggers, one spec that is a bow, and maybe one spec that is some kind of a dual blade, big two-handed dual blade, like, want to be Legolas.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be really cool. Maybe even a dagger pistol. Pachow.
That would be awesome.
So, guys, that's ZeakQ. Again, welcome, Zeke. It's a pleasure to have you. Like you said.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. It's been a long time coming. We finally did it. We've been talking about it forever. We've been hyping it up almost as much as the Discord community is hyping about Corepunk. And the most recent hype was, of course, the quarterly update, quarter 2. So now is the time to jump into that. Gentlemen, the quarterly update, quarter 2, is finally here. Dropped in the wee hours of the 1st of September. The quarter 2 update features highlights from and insights into Artificial Core's progress the last few months and a look towards the future with a vague closed beta date and some other tasty bits of info. So without further ado, let's jump into quarterly update quarter 2, 2020. You guys ready for this?
Absolutely.
Man, it's been a while coming. We've been waiting as a community with bated breath. We finally have it. So let's just jump right into it. There is a quick welcome at the beginning of the quarter update too. It says this quarter was quite busy. We had many goals to accomplish and had to continually adapt to all of the changes in the world. It affected our development process more than we had expected. But still, we continue to improve the game and add more features. For safety reasons, most of the team will be working remotely for the foreseeable future. And they say, please note, everything presented is work in progress. So I'm going to try and get through this quarter update too without too many I told you so's. But I just wanted to point out that I really did think that Corona was going to affect Artificial Core and Corepunk more than they thought it would and more than the community anticipated as well. And we saw such a beautiful representation of that in the video, which we'll talk about more later, that they delivered. But it really affected them, as it affected so many people around the world. And we really need to take that into consideration when we look at this, because I think many people were trying to be optimistic that this wouldn't affect them, and that wasn't the case. So this goes into what we see below, and it really tries to help tell the story of why everything is in the state it's in and why it's delivered the way it is. So that's just my observation of that first part there. What else speaks to you guys from that first introduction paragraph?
DVALIN, do you want to go?
I actually want to hear your comment about that.
All right. I mean, I think that's Corona is something that's going to affect everyone, and the way that has affected companies before them, I think that they maybe should have seen that coming, but I don't know how. Like, I think they've dealt with it in a pretty good way, that everybody's working from home, if they have the option to do so.
Well, yeah, I mean, I definitely think they are in the industry that is less punished than other industries.
Oh, absolutely.
I know, of course, they had to delay the closed beta because I think the closed beta was meant to be out now, probably, but they had to delay it. And I don't. Well, again, you know the quote: a delayed game is better than a failed game or a bad game. And Yeah, I think they are in a hard position right now, but I think they're getting used to it. And who knows, maybe after all this, people will even work from home even more now, because that's the thing you hear in the TV.
Yeah, it's the case with many places that are going full remote now. And I think once they started seeing the potential advantage of not having to pay rent on a massive studio, I'm not speaking about Artificial Core specifically, but just in general, companies starting to crunch the numbers and see how much more cost effective it would be to have remote employees. I think it's a big win for some companies, and many are going that direction for sure.
That is pretty smart, because some of these locations can be expansively heavy on the costs.
Exactly. You're not just talking rent, you're talking about all of the things that you need to support your employees on a daily basis, from toilet paper to drinks in the refrigerator and everything else, which just adds up over time.
You forgot the coffee machine.
That's right. That's right. That was the in the everything else part, but fair enough. I should have mentioned coffee over drinks in the fridge, because that's where I go first. So you're right to call me out. So the first topic in the update Q2 is read less, interact more. So in their announcement trailer, they had quests that had more of a classic look, like you may have seen in other MMOs, but they wanted to add more depth and make more conversations, or make the conversations more natural. They decided to change the interface and the structure of the questing system. So they say now you'll be able to learn the backstory of NPC or simply chat with her. But those talks may reveal some exciting plot twists or useful information. How do you want this conversation to be going? A casual talk, chit chat, or maybe you'd like to get a quest or need to find out something? It's up to you. After all, it's you who leads the conversation and defines its outcome.
I think it looks really good. The interface was something I actually caught up on when watching the gameplay trailer. I think it looks really slick, and it looks really modernized if you compare to the old one and other MMOs. They usually have that click the text what you want to say instead of like the buttons.
Yeah.
So I really like that. It looks, in my opinion, way better. It looks more modern, as I said, and also about having a casual chat or casual talk or quest. Maybe there's something like most people go directly for the quest and they don't bother chatting to the character. Or maybe if somebody actually takes the time to actually sit down and have a chat with the character, you might learn some exciting plot twists, like they said, or you get some deeper knowledge about the game world, basically.
DVALIN?
I'm kind of split. I have to be that guy who's not just happy. I enjoy having the old one where you can just basically read. I can top read to see. I just want to do this, or do that. But I enjoy the wheel they have where you always know now this mark means that I'm asking into the position. This mark means I'm asking into who are you. This mark means I just want to go with the quest and I don't care about lore. So I like it, but I also like the other one. So I'm kind of like, there's nothing. I like both of them. I can't say which one I like the most. So I'm just gonna say 50-50.
Wow.
Fair.
Wow. Okay. Well, I want to point out the obvious advantage of the second one, and that is that players like you, DVALIN, who are going to race as fast as they can for that max level and want to just get through the quest, you have that option to do that. But at the same time, it also caters to another player that wants to learn as much as possible about the game. So I think it's very smart that they have both of these in there, because I think it caters to more people than the old one, which is just forced on everyone, regardless of what playstyle you are. I think it's more adaptive to more playstyles, in my personal opinion.
I agree with that.
Well, yeah, I agree that the second one they made, it's 100% better for when you just want to rush the game and don't want to read about the lore. But the old one also worked fine for me. But yeah, they probably needed that button, say, skip conversation.
Fair enough. That brings us next to the coordinator. So they realized after playtests that something was missing, and so they've created this coordinator character, which in the classic hero's journey tale is your character like Gandalf or Obi-Wan Kenobi or Morpheus from the Matrix. These are characters that come to the hero in a crucial point and help guide them through the story. And it adds so much from narration to potentially telling backstory to essentially making the tutorial and all of this much more immersive, in my opinion. How do you guys feel about the coordinator character? And are you looking forward to it, or is it something that you're going to try and get past as soon as possible, if that's a possibility? Zeke?
I think I'm a bit 50-50 on that one, because I'd like a tutorial, but I would also like to explore and experience the world for myself without having someone to tell me what to do and where to go. But I also like that if you want her there, like her help, she will be there.
Yeah, it seems like she's going to be your first friend, it says. And it also, to note, it says her role in the world hasn't been defined yet, and no one knows how your relationship will end up. So this also sounds like maybe they haven't completely decided how she's going to play a part in the world yet. But I think what it helps do is it helps transition you from the beginning of the game to having that voice in your ear on the comms to kind of guide you along in sort of a seamless way. And I think that helps with the immersion. DVALIN, what do you think about the coordinator, besides that you want to marry her?
Well, she has a nice dress on. Yeah. But how I read that script you just read it up is that it also sounds like you can actually become enemy with her. But I'm just going to be honest. I'm not a fan if she's going to be my voice in the game, the whole game. I want to be able to go to Elanian, do a quest where some guy from Elanian is going to tell me what to do. I want to go to the Faden's place where some guy from the Faden is going to tell me what to do. It's not like I don't want to have Tony Stark in my ear all the time telling me what to do as Spider-Man.
That's a interesting point to it. I think it's hard. It's all a bit vague, right? It's all a bit very new and not totally defined yet. So it's hard to tell how it will play out. But this is an interesting point you brought up. Will she be there through the whole game? Or will she be there at just like the most crucial moments? You would rather have her be there from time to time, but not be digging into all of your conversations and your info and your quest. Sounds like.
Yeah, exactly. I'm totally fine if this game is gonna have like a main campaign and side quests. I'm totally fine if she's gonna be on the main campaign only. But side quests, I want to have someone else tell me what to do, and main campaigns that she can be on that one. That's fine with me.
Yeah, that sounds about right. What do you think about that, Zeke? Sounds like something that's probably how it's going to work.
I agree. I do think I'd rather have it, as DVALIN said earlier, that she won't be there all the time. She'll be there like at the main story, and side quests you can do whatever you want and maybe have someone else.
I'm personally into it, but I guess it's just I don't know, from the idea of just having more life in the world and the idea of having a contact there that's sort of helping you explore this world seems like it's going to be a handy tool to help tell the story in a way that's connected to you. But very good points by you guys, I think, for sure. Any other thoughts on the coordinator?
I wonder if just a small thought. I wonder if she helps you a lot in the beginning, and then as time goes on, she'll help you less and less and less, and then she'll end up becoming like an enemy or like some part of evil of the world or something.
Yeah, maybe. That wouldn't be a bad twist to have in the game.
Yeah, it'd be a pretty big plot twist.
That would be cool.
If she helps you out a lot in the beginning and you actually like become her friend, or as it says.
Yeah.
That just reminded me, maybe the developers here are actually trying to make the same relationship as Master Chief has with Cortana.
Yeah, that could be right.
But again, Master Chief is a game where you are the only one who's the hero. In this game, there's going to be over 200 or 1,000 other players who's also going to be the hero. So it's like, are they going to do like World of Warcraft where everyone is the champion who's going to save Azeroth? Or is this game doing like New World where everyone is just a warrior in this battle and not like World of Warcraft where everyone is the champion of Azeroth?
It's hard to tell. That's a big decision they have to make for the game.
100%.
Yeah. Without like a militaristic connection to the factions, and without the factions being at war, and with the cultures with the factions being more cultures, and those cultures sort of existing in the world to shape the world around them and give us unique places to play. To me, it feels like we're going to be more of a cog in the machine, and more of a like you mentioned, like in New World, where we're just a fighter in whatever struggles are going on. The next topic here with the quarterly update number 2 is jumps, boys. No top-down games that inspired them had jumps. This is something that they didn't see in other games, and I think that's probably the reason why they didn't have it in there immediately. But then they started thinking about adding it based on their experience with MMOs and how jumping works in MMOs. So they decided to test it. They fell in love. We saw some of the examples of this, or an example of this, in the 15 minutes gameplay trailer, and now we have a GIF of a little guy in armor jumping. And so this is an interesting topic. It's sort of the new hot topic in the Discord, and a lot of discussion on if it looks cool, if it doesn't look cool, if it is going to work or if it's not going to work, how it's going to work, and so on and so forth. So guys, you guys have been in those conversations. DVALIN, let's hear from you first. How do you feel about jumps in Corepunk?
Well, yeah, we've had some kind of some discussions on the Corepunk server, on the Discord server, and after thinking about it, I took my truck and did a ride, and I was thinking about this very hardly. It was like a point of my life thinking about this jump, and then I actually thought about it. It actually can work if the game doesn't have pathing too hard. If you click outside a cliff or a mountain and your character begins to run around it before found the correct path, then it's not going to work jumping. But if your character is just going to walk against this cliff or this mountain and actually basically fall out of it and die, then the jumping function will actually work. And I can imagine that you can hold down right click and your character will keep moving to your mouse even where you put your mouse. And then I actually think it's going to work. But if it's going to be one of those games where you can't hold down right click, so you cannot really be alive like in action mode with your character, you cannot hold right click down and just move with him, then I really have a hard time seeing how jump is going to work, because then you can basically just say, okay, go this path, and then you remove your hand from the mouse, and now you sit with 10 fingers on spacebar, and you just click, click, click whenever you need to jump.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things to that we've seen already. So we've seen in the original trailer when the player falls off of the ledge into the water, that there is no collision there to keep them from going off of there. There's nothing in the pathing that keeps them from falling off of there. So it really depends on how it's set up, like you said. I think there's some really interesting things in here. I think the jump in the GIF, I actually really like it. I think it's cute. I think it's going to be fun to jump around, but I think it's also going to be very exciting to see what they do with puzzles for this and obstacles, and how they play this out, because I think that they have some really cool ideas as far as how they're going to build their raids, and the fact that they want to have jumping puzzles in here. And so I think one thing we need to take a step back and think about is that we've had all this faith in them so far to make the game good because of the limited gameplay that we've seen and our interactions with them. And so far we've had all this faith that they're going to make a cool game. This is why we're all so hyped and sitting in there and waiting every moment for new news. So with that said, when they tell me that they fell in love with it, and they decided to keep it. My faith that I have in them as developers so far, from the limited amount of stuff that we've seen, it continues with that, because I'm not gonna. I don't know. I have a hard time like enjoying all of this stuff, and then they do something that's maybe a little bit different, and then immediately thinking, oh well, no, I mean, this immediately has to be bad. But if you have that faith in the beginning, like, why wouldn't you have faith that this might be something that could be cool if it's something that they like? Because so far, what they like is in the game, and we like what they like. So give it a chance, right? Also, this is something that we could sit here and talk to death, but until we play the game and until we actually experience this in the game, I think all these conversations are completely moot. And I'm not saying don't have conversations, but I'm saying like there's no reason to like have fights over this stuff, because we're not gonna really understand how it works and how great it is, or how great it isn't, until we play it. You know what I'm saying? So let's give this one a chance. Like they fell in love with it. I'm sold. Okay, like that's my take. That's how I look at things. So if they're willing to give it a chance, I'm willing to give it a chance. So I think it will be cool to see what they do with this. And I know, like, DVALIN, you were in a conversation where people were talking about like dodging spells and how this could play, and we all have different like visions of how this would play out in a 3-dimensional space, right? So immediately we start thinking, oh, this couldn't work, or that couldn't work. But I think this is really something that we need to get in there and try. And then I think there's amazing possibilities that come out of this. Amazing. Imagine someone putting traps down and you jump over it and you go and get them. Like, that's pretty cool. Maybe it's not cool for the guy that got, but I think it expands the possibility of gameplay and adds a complete other dimension to it. It also adds another dimension to the world itself. Vertical and like this verticality of the world and vertical gameplay is going to be important now. And I'm really excited to see how that evolves as well. Zeke, what do you feel about jumps in the game?
Yeah, I know. I totally agree with you. What you just said. It's going to add verticality to the game, and it's going to make vertical gameplay more interesting. Because in top-down games like Dota and League, you don't see a lot of verticality, especially not for obstacles and solving puzzles at all, which is going to be really interesting. And also, you mentioned before about possible of dodging a spell or jumping over a trap. I think that's going to be, hopefully, you can dodge attacks while jumping, because I think that would be a pretty nice feature, but it's up to the devs. But personally, I would want something like that in the game, and I'm really excited to try it out because of, as you said, the same reason. Because if the devs are willing to give it a try, I'm willing to give it a try, because so far everything I've seen from them looks really good, and I'm super interested in it.
Yeah, same here. I think this will definitely be something that people are hammering on in closed beta. And what I do hope for in closed beta, because of this edition, is that there is some fully fleshed out jumping puzzle or obstacle that, in their vision, is the possibilities of what you can do with this jumping. And maybe there's more to it, and of course there will always be more that we figure out as players and we discover, and crazy stuff that we figure out. But to be able to really test this in the beta and say, like, yeah, this is a really cool thing, or maybe it doesn't work so well. It's really important, if you have this verticality and you have jumping puzzles, that the game is snappy and works well and doesn't have weird collision or anything like that. Guild Wars 2 has amazing jump puzzles, and it has amazing movement and just jumps and collision in that game. Star Wars: The Old Republic also has jump puzzles, and these are a huge part of the game, because when you get to the end of a jump puzzle, you get a cube that gives you stats, a stats boost. And so you really want to go get these things. But the collision and the jumping in the game is not snappy. It's a little wonky. And it really leads to a lot of frustration. because you feel like, man, I really made that jump, or I should have made that jump. And you feel like the game is taking away from you the possibility of actually doing this in a fairly easy way. And it just doesn't feel good when it feels like it's the fault of the game rather than your own skill to do this stuff, where you have to like really like lead your jumps, and you're jumping what you can clearly see is on the edge of the box, but you're falling off before you get to jump. This kind of stuff, it's just not snappy, and it leads to not so fun of a time sometimes. So this really needs to be smooth, I think, for everyone to be on board. You know, if it's clunky, or if it makes you feel bad when you fall, it's going to be tough. But if it's smooth, and jumping from one thing to another is smooth, that's going to be so much fun.
Also, I just want to add a note to the jumping. For the social aspect, it actually, for me, it adds a lot, because when I used to play World of Warcraft, when I saw a friend and he runs my way, I usually, jump, and he sees me, and I'm like, oh, I'm here, and he jumps, and we jump in front of each other and just jump. And
Jumping in unison.
exactly, you're just jumping like the Halo guys who are like dancing in front of each other. In this game, you're just like jumping in each other. And also, I see this possibility that, for example, if I kill someone in open world, I can teabag him with the jumping.
All right, many uses for the jump. I mean, think about it. Like the jumping isn't so weird as a greeting. Like someone had to be the first person to wave to someone, right? And that was probably weird at that point, but it becomes a universal gesture of greeting at this point in an MMO, I suppose.
Yeah, I think it already has that status in WoW.
Yeah.
I feel like one thing I think is quite interesting is if you look at the GIF, to me it looks like the character is jumping his full height. So he's jumping like straight up his own height. So I wonder if you can boost that somehow, like expand, like increase jump height or something.
With
so
an
you can jump
artifact
higher.
or something?
Yeah, exactly. If you wear really heavy armor, maybe you can't jump as high or something. I don't know how deep they want to go, but that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Also kind of broken though, because the higher you can jump, the more spells you can dodge. Possibly, maybe that could be. Yeah.
I'm just gonna give my opinion on that and say no.
Yeah.
I know it's like it's just jump, and no,
Yeah.
don't change.
I'm
But
just speculating here, so.
What I like most about the GIF is actually not focused on the jumping. It's just the lighting and the shadows, and just how nice and soft and smooth everything is, and how the normal mapping on the ground is just bumping up the rocks so perfectly, or at least giving the appearance that it has a three-dimensional pop to it. It looks like the trees and the bushes might have dynamic lighting on the shadows and things that they're projecting. So it's, man, like everyone else on the Discord, I'm just so excited to get in the world and run around and just feel it for the first time.
But just to be that guy, am I the only one seeing that it looks like they haven't finished the animation yet? It looks like the first 0.1 second when he jumps, he doesn't do any animation. He's basically just like moving up, and then he starts doing his animation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it says it's work in progress at the top, so I think you need to take everything in here with a grain of salt and just realize that it is what it is. But to hear you say it is also valuable feedback, right? Like if we don't give feedback, then things like this might not be noticed, because when you're working on something, and if something looks right to you and you just kind of move past it, you might not notice it. And so again, like we don't all need to agree with each other. I really want to say, like, you might not agree with our opinions. We might not agree with you, but the conversations always need to be had, because everyone's opinion is valuable, and it needs to be said so that someone could then take a look at it and say, you know what, DVALIN's right. This could be better. And maybe it already is by the time that this thing goes live. Who knows? But yeah, it's a good point. I think it's a fine line of like realizing this is work in progress stuff, but at the same time, we do need to provide good feedback. And I think this is what we really need to do in the closed beta, in the open beta. We really need to be vigilant with our feedback and make sure that we're helping the devs make this game the best thing it can be.
Yeah, and just a note to that one, I really hope they're gonna have the same as World of Warcraft beta has. They have a in-game button where you can just click on it and report immediately what you just saw and what happened, instead of you have to go to a forum, you have to make a post. It would be nice if we can just give directly feedback in the game with one click.
Yeah, especially if it has like a screenshot function connected to it, which some games do, where it will automatically take a screenshot of what you're looking at when you report it.
Yeah.
This is helpful as well, I know. Any last thoughts on jumps? Okay.
Let's jump.
Did you
Jump right now.
You're definitely a dad. That was a dad joke. If we can even call that a joke. Next up for quarterly update 2 is customization. And this one, I think out of all of the sections in this update, was sort of like the least expanded upon since the last quarter update, where we had gender unlocks and the idea of customization announced. It says players invest a lot of time in MMORPGs. We understand how important the appearance in customization is. Although it is still work in progress, we really like the outcome so far. It gives much more freedom for self-expression, and they have a GIF in there that shows various colors, skin colors, outfit colors, and hair types. Also lipstick, so like makeup colors as well on the face. So guys, what do you think of this update in this new look, or this updated look at customization, what they're working on? Zeke, why don't you start?
Yeah, sure. I think it's like hopefully deeper than this. I mean, it looks pretty deep already because you see the lipstick, and I think I can spot an earring and maybe a nose ring as well. So all the small tiny details looks really amazing. But so far from this GIF, I'd say it looks like most other customizations, because change of color, change of hairstyle. That's it, really, as far as I can tell.
And DVALIN, how are you feeling about the customization update?
I like it. It's more than what I expected. When we saw this archer in the trailer, we saw that they had the normal human skin, I would say, and normal hair and all that. But in this GIF, they are basically showing that you can be pretty much whatever skin color you want. If you want to be purple, green, red, I mean, there's no limits in this game, and I think that's why the name of the game Punk is coming in. That you can basically look like whatever you want ish. But I don't think it's going to be for every class race in the game. I think the orc is going to be limited to like brown, green colors. But this one is, yeah, you can. I mean, it's basically a Steel Series mouse that invented this class.
Any
good.
final thoughts on character customization?
I'm excited to see how much customization you can do on every race. And as Velen said, maybe limited on some races, but maybe they get expanded on others, like more hairstyles or something to expand on it.
DVALIN?
Yeah, definitely. I don't hope we're gonna see everyone in the game can be pink, everyone in the game can be red, everyone in the game can be yellow. I hope that it's gonna be limited to classes, so we still have some kind of uniqueness in the game.
Sure. I've seen that in other games where some races are limited to less color choices than others to fit more with sort of the lore and the immersiveness of that class. So I feel that. Next up in the quarterly update number 2, the topic is fatalities. And I have to say personally, out of all the things in this update, I think this is the coolest feature. And this is the one that caught my eye the most. So they said they're fans of the Fallout series, and the many ways to kill is an awesome feature. So they're working to make a deeply customizable fatality system in Corepunk. They want to implement different fatalities depending on the type of damage and its power. And they say that you might have seen how it works in the previous videos. There's someone gets charred, they go to ashes. Someone gets beheaded, and the head actually comes off, and you see the insides of the neck on there. Really cool attention to detail, which goes hand in hand with their conversations about attention to detail on the last podcast. It also sounds, as I read it again, to make a deeply customizable fatality and system in Corepunk, that we might actually be able to customize that. And in games that I played, like Guild Wars 2 has finishers that you can customize based on your different ranks in PvP and things that you've unlocked. And I think that's really cool to add sort of a personal touch when you finish someone out in that open PvP combat out in the world. I think that's really cool. So if that's the case and we get to customize those a little bit, even more power to this feature. I think this is going to be really cool. Zeke, how do you feel about fatalities in the game and what we've seen so far?
I love it. It's amazing. I haven't really seen a lot of MMOs or games I've played have had fatalities. Well, okay, that Skyrim had finishes rather, but not fatalities. Like, I guess maybe they're the same thing. Yeah, I guess. But yeah, I'm really hyped about this, especially because you saw in the trailer, as you mentioned, the champions that was burned, and also the guy that in the dungeon that gets splashed by the wheel that's spinning.
Yeah,
That looks really cool, and I'm super excited to see what more you can do and customize with it. And hopefully, it will be enabled in PvP as well between players and not just AI.
yeah, absolutely. I think the difference sometimes in fatalities and finishers in like Guild Wars 2, there wasn't a different animation or a different way that you would kill the enemy, but you would plant this like banner afterwards that would like plant into where their corpse was to, show your dominance to the guy you just wrecked. And so I think that's more of a finisher. Fatality is something more of like Mortal Kombat, where
Right.
you have like a specific way that you
To
kill
finish the
them.
enemy.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're right.
yeah, I think it's cool. DVALIN, how do you feel about it?
Well, it's actually not a big deal for me. It's more like, if I want to kill someone, he's gonna die. So if he's gonna die in that way or another way, that's like it's fine with me. I mean, it's a cool thing they have, but it's not like something that I need.
Fair enough. Next topic in the quarterly update 2. They mentioned Summer of Gaming and their participation in IGN's event that was online. It was their first gaming expo. Unfortunately, it was a online only expo, so that's pretty rough. So I just want to say personally to you guys at Artificial Core, to have the anticipation of having your first trade show for your game and then being shut down by Corona for that and not being able to do that, but still powering through and having those moments that you shared with us in the video and delivering your best in the light of not being able to show it live in person, but showing it live on the internet. My hat goes off to you. My heart goes out to you because I know how important this is for a developer to show their game to the world for the first time. And you have so much anticipation, to go to like Gamescom and have lines waiting for hours to play your game and getting direct feedback from the players after they finish and getting to meet your fans and just seeing the joy on everyone's faces when they play your game or they see your debut. And so, not being able to do this year, but still making the best of it and making this video is really impressive. So shout out to you guys for that. We watched it together, DVALIN, and it was really cool. It was cool to see Eugene out there in the public speaking about the game. And the 15 minutes of gameplay that came out of it was really cool. And I think opened a lot of people's eyes to the game. DVALIN, how was that for you, the IGN Summer of Gaming and the 15 minutes gameplay trailer?
No, I go with you on that one. That was super cool, and really, it was a really hyped event that we live streamed, and we were really hyping and waiting for that. And the gameplay 15 minutes was really good. It showed low base, like low base gameplay. I'm not sure how you say that, but it shows low level gameplay where this is the low game. I mean, they could have shown a raid, they could have shown any high level, but I respect they showed low level gameplay that we know can be a bit slow, but they showed the basic fundamental of the game. Also, it would have been really, really, really cool to have seen them at an expo. I would definitely have tried to come over to that expo and see it. But because of, the world situation, I respect that they still, went into this online expo. So, 100% thumbs up for that.
Zeke, were you watching the IGN Summer of Gaming, or did you get a
Absolutely.
chance? Yeah, you saw it as well.
Yeah.
And how was that for you, as like a upcoming fan of the game, I guess, to see that?
It was great. It was really fun, and we actually were a lot of people watching from COREPunk, or from the Discord watching. I think we're like 27 or something in the voice chat channel watching this together. It was great. We actually managed to get a spam going saying, "Get in the trunk, we're going to COREPunk." It was kind of funny. And I know it was really amazing seeing Eugene talk as well, and how excited he was to show off the game to the people and to the community, and to actually be a part of Summer of Gaming. And I agree with DVALIN. I probably would have liked to see them as well on a more of an expo where you can walk around, but that's not really possible now with Corona. But I'm really happy that they made a Summer of Gaming.
For sure. It's good exposure for them. And it was fun to see for us as well. And the 15 minutes of gameplay came out of it, which was really cool to watch over and over and over again and analyze.
Yeah, I was going to say, I watched it like 3 times when it first came out, or the day after because I had to sleep. But super excited, and it's every time I go back to it, I find small details that I didn't notice before, which is amazing. I love that. The attention to small details really makes the game, in my opinion.
Hello, my name is DVALIN. Are you looking for a YouTuber or a content creator who are mostly talking about COREPunk and actually have met the COREPunk developers in real life and even on the Christmas day? Well, that's me. Go to youtube.com/DVALINZeakQ, DVALINZeakQ. Again, youtube.com/DVALINZeakQ. I am doing a lot of content about COREPunk, but also about other MMORPG games and RPG games. So come and follow me and follow the journey through COREPunk, the game itself. Thank you and have a nice life.
Next up on the quarterly update 2 is Heroes and Masteries. A huge part of what we're working on, says Artificial Core, is Heroes and Combat. Right now we're focused on Champion, Dwarf, Bomber, Paladin, Orc, and Demon. We are improving their abilities, skills, and masteries, making them more complex and engaging to play. Can't wait to share more of them in our upcoming update. DVALIN, this is pretty exciting stuff, and it's interesting to me. It's a very small part of this overall update. It's a small little paragraph, has no images or anything attached to it. It's almost as like kind of a side note. But as far as the content that people are waiting for the most, I would say Heroes and Masteries and what they mentioned here are one of the biggest things that people are anticipating and want more information on. Would you agree with that?
100%. I also kind of miss a... It would have been nice if they have added a picture of these 6 people, we already have seen all 12 classes picture on how the class look. So it would have been nice if they have included all 6, because when they talk about a new class here called Demon, I think everyone is like, who the hell is the Demon? Is that the guy they call the Fire Mage who looks like a normal human? So who is this guy that is called Demon? But I mean, we already got confirmed before they were working on 6 classes, so it's nice that they have now confirmed these 6 classes that I made a separate video about it where I talked about, I think it's these 6 people, and I actually hit 5 of them correctly. So the last one was this demon guy, and I'm really anticipating to see who is this demon guy. Is that the Zeak's dream class, or who the hell is he?
Right. We were talking a little bit about what the specs will be on these champions as well, or these heroes, and what that means for the beta as well, and if we could potentially see like 2 DPS, 2 support, 2 healer here, or what that means with tank support, healer support. We were going on and on about all the different combinations that these could be going into it, because ideally you have something that caters to all of the types of classes that people want to play going into the closed beta, so we can get a look at least one of them there. It does say upcoming update, which makes me feel like we are going to get another update before the closed beta test, which will, among other things, reveal more about these 6 classes, or these 6 heroes. Zeke, how you feeling about this talk about heroes and masteries?
I really love it. It's something I'm super excited for, and I like that it's a small tease here, because we're gonna get so much more in the next update, or the incoming update rather. I really like the part where it says making them more complex and engaging to play, because I feel like that's super important. Personally, I like when a game is deep and complex, because there's more to figure out and there's more to like think about instead of just doing like what's right in front of you. You have to actually think and like see and think up strategies and like how to beat a certain type of class or character, and having them to be engaging to play is like really important as well, because it has to feel right. They don't want to be overly complex either. It has to feel like absolutely right to play them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when they put these updates out, they put a lot of they put a lot of information in subtle sentences like this that I think are super important to pick up on. And I think that the community as a whole kind of glazes over a little bit and just picks up the stuff at the surface and just looks at that and doesn't like dig too much into these like subtle mentions within the sentences. And I think this part that you picked up on there is huge. Like one of the things that people were talking about after the 15 minutes of gameplay and of course the original announcement trailer is that the characters did not, or at least the archer character did not look complex and engaging. And here they're saying that this is something that they're specifically working on. So I think there's a lot more of what they're working on in comparison to what we're talking about, that we don't give them enough credit for, in my opinion. I think they're really listening to the community and really looking at what the community says. And regardless of if they make a big announcement about it or a big deal about it, they're doing all of these little things that I think are directly complementing what we want to see more of as a community. I think this is really cool. And I agree with you 100%. Like, it's a fine line of balance between overly complex, like the difference between, and maybe this is just me being old and slow, but the difference to me between like Dota and League of Legends, and why League of Legends has more players than Dota, is because I feel like League of Legends, it has the complexity level at a perfect place where the gameplay is absolutely complex enough and engaging enough to really encourage people to play. Whereas Dota, as much as I love the game, can sometimes be a bit overly complex in some of the decisions they made in game design for someone to pick it up for the first time and jump in. So this is very important to the future of the game for sure. and I can't wait to see more as well.
Yeah, and on that one, I also want to add a note on that one, and I totally agree with you, because when I tried to learn play League, it took me like a few hours, but learning how to play Dota have taken me like a lot of days. I have watched so many guides, and I still don't understand half of the game, and I have nothing against it. It's totally fine with me, but that also just shows that it's harder for people to get into Dota because it's harder. But I don't hope Corepunk is going to be in that situation. I hope the game is going to be easy for people to pick up, and easy. What do you say? Easy to play, hard to master.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, easy to play, easy to pick up, but difficult to master. And I mean, it is called Heroes of Masteries, right? So hopefully that is the case. The hero is the base. This is what you start with, and then you bring that hero to its masteries through playing. Any last thoughts on Heroes and Masteries?
I have one.
Okay.
In the gameplay trailer we saw first time, the one that only lasts 2 minutes, the one they showed the 19 December last year. They show a healer class in the start of the trailer. That's the guy who walks over the edge, and it's also the guy who is the very bad healer in the dungeon where the tanks die. That one is not mentioned on this list unless she's the one who's they call the demon. And I'm like very surprised that this class, who has a lot of showtime in the first trailer, is not among the playlist.
I think she's a female version of the champion,
No,
just with a bow. No.
no. No. I'm talking about the first trailer we saw, and no one has a bow there. She has a staff
Oh,
and healing
right.
spells.
Yeah, you're right. I'm wrong. I'm thinking about the second one.
Yeah, and so unless she's the one called Demon, but yeah, I
That'd
don't
be
know why
weird.
she's. Yeah, exactly.
Like a demon with healing abilities.
Yeah, I mean, also too, like, what they're showing us and what we'll actually get to play is not necessarily one-to-one, right? Like they want to, when they show the game to us, they want to show us what they think looks most exciting and most enticing. And at the same time, maybe this character needs more of this complexity and engagement to it. On the other hand, maybe this character is at a point where it's too difficult for people to jump into in the closed beta, and needs to be less complex, and is something more for a more experienced player. I don't know, just some thoughts on that, but this could be the reason for that.
Yeah. I really hope that the basic rotation you do on a character or a hero is going to be pretty basic and simple for anyone to understand. But then you can dive deeper into like the skill tree and the masteries, and you can do really deep and complex combos and synergies between abilities or heroes. I think that's really interesting and something I'm absolutely looking forward to.
Next up for the quarterly update 2 is gameplay focus and the CBT date. So they mentioned that while they were working on the gameplay trailer, that polishing the sections that they were featuring in the gameplay trailer and focusing on those sections meant that they lost focus on the other sections, and they ended up sort of out of sync in their production pipeline and in their schedule. And that doesn't work for them the way they like to work. So they decided to focus on gameplay and cease development of promotional videos and participating in expos until we have Corepunk playable and polished. A lot of P's in there. So they said they got a lot of feedback from the previous trailers, but at the same time, nothing will be better than actually getting the game in our hands. So they're aiming for early December closed beta test around the anniversary of their original announcement with 6 playable heroes and a level 20 cap. We can't wait to meet you there. Guys, closed beta is around the corner. Zeke.
I am beyond excited. It's a bit later than I thought it would be. I was hoping for October, mid of October, but it's not super late. It's still 2020, so I'm pretty happy about that. But yeah, I totally agree that that's what they should do. They should focus on gameplay and not so much on promotional videos or gaming expos until it's done. Because if you show people how the game is looking too early, people are going to have that as their first impression, and they will still hold that first impression until the game's even done and look way better. And they still won't. They'll still refuse to try it or play it just because they've seen it once. And I think the best feedback you can get is from the people actually playing the game, so that they're actually focusing and developing in the game, and trying to get it in our hands, the players' hands, is very important. So I think they take the right direction.
DVALIN?
Yeah, I think I'm on the same track, and also what I said to Eugene on the last interview, that I told him, stop with these videos, just stop it, don't waste time on showing out the game. Just finish the parts you need to finish, and when closed beta is going live, we are basically the guys who's gonna help them with promoting the game. I mean, just look at New World and how all the streamers, they just went to it, and boom, that was the most discussed game in a week now. And I think the same will happen for Corepunk. I mean, it's nice they show us all these nice things and articles and all that, but just now just finish the game. Just focus on what is most important for you guys, and then we'll do rest for you.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. It's really the best decision that they're making here. And also, like, they share a lot of inside information here. They explain this entire process and how they worked through it. And they explained how they learned from what didn't work for them and how they have adjusted their process. And I have to say, like, this bit of information in these paragraphs here is more than you're going to get from a lot of game companies. And how they were transparent on this and explain how everything's working and how it's going to work going forward, I think is really important. And I think it's really valuable information. I think it's just kind of lost on people that are just wanting to get their hands on the game and don't really care about this kind of stuff. So I guess I'm just saying to the community out there, be patient, guys. It's around the corner. And, this is going to be a good thing for the game. We're going to be playing it when we should be playing it, is what I feel like with this company and with this team. And that's going to be good for the game all around, just like DVALIN said. So 20 level cap, 6 playable heroes, and they say can't wait to meet you there. You think we're going to see them in the world of Koalat?
Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
Developers that play their own game, there's like a meme ongoing in, I don't know, in most communities at least, that developers aren't very good at their own game because they spend so much time developing them and not that much time playing them. So hopefully that's not the case here, that they're actually engaging with us inside the game and actually having fun alongside us. Hopefully. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, so I kind of agree with what you're saying, Zeke, because that would be really cool to see the developers actually playing the game themselves, maybe even having a guild. Because if you look at games like, Guild Wars, World of Warcraft, so on like that, it's not very common that you actually know that the developers actually play the game. They even don't have guilds in there, something like that. And also, I think it would be really, really transparent if some of the developers, they actually joined one of the community guilds. Like, for example, I mean, Eugene, you're very welcome in the Blue Bambies. You're always welcome. You don't have to apply to anything. You can just join us and probably help us how to defeat the raid first. But off topic. But something like that, it would be really cool that developers actually engaged with us, where we don't see that in other games.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I had one of my most humbling moments as a developer in playing games against the community. On Evolve, it was something where we were playing so much that we could definitely hold our own. But when I worked on Spec Ops: The Line, we internally were very successful, and so we challenged the community to step up and play us, and we were completely humbled in front of a live audience. So it is the case that most developers end up just spending too much time working on the game, which is a good thing for the game and the community. But don't expect them to be as competitive as you are as a hardcore player. So that said, with the sentiment these guys have, to see them in the game, even to like running by, Eugene rolls by on his motorcycle. That's going to be a cool moment for everyone.
But it's also going to be dangerous because if we know artificial core they play on the server called Yada Yadu, I mean, then maybe everyone is going to play on that server, and then all the other servers is going to have zero population.
Fair enough. I'm sure they're keeping all this stuff in mind, DVALIN. Don't worry. Don't worry. As long as they join your guild, fine. It's fine, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then I can give my account VIP access to skip the queue.
Oh man, kids these days.
Stream your benefits. Okay.
Yeah. Up next for the quarterly update 2 is the content update. And in this section, nothing was said on this topic. There was just some screenshots, some captures of characters and props and things like this that were shared. Everything from some creatures to some weapons and, in between. What caught my eye the most was my environment art experience and with my just general love of game environments and set pieces is the screenshots in the content update. If you really look at the detail which is involved with each and every one of these screenshots, from the textures to the lighting to the atmosphere and the fog and just the overall just scattered liveliness of each of them, it's truly amazing. And if the entire game looks to this level, this is going to be insane, guys. This looks so good. And it's tough because when you're scrolling through here and you see this update, for me, the images don't even expand. I actually downloaded them and then expanded them on my own. And it's really a bit lost because, at least for me, this is what I had to do. And until that, I did that. I didn't really see just the absolute beauty of these. These are wallpaper. These are really beautiful pieces of work. And I think they need a bit more love and appreciation. I think this is probably a portion of the blog post that was scrolled through by some people looking for tidbits of information. What about you guys? How did you feel about the content update and what we see here?
I absolutely love it. I was also same as you. I tried to clicking them first to see if they would pop up and enlarge themselves, but I instead right-clicked and went copy image address and pasted it into a new browser, and you see everything there. You see all the tiny details. Yeah, exactly. And it looks so good. Like you see the details on the first picture, like the green one of the forest. You can see individual leaves on the clovers, and it looks amazing. Absolutely amazing. I genuinely believe that the entire game world will look as detailed and amazing as this. Like if you look at the Halloween above that one, you see the individual lights and you see the individual leaves on each of the trees, and it's amazing. I'm lost of words, really.
Yeah, so good. DVALIN, I know you saw your main here in the characters.
My main?
Yeah, the little girl with the fox mask and the rave beads and the strong eyebrows.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm gonna pass on that one. But yeah, so the pictures we saw about the zones, it's like they always showed nice zones. So it's like more zones. That's cool. But what I actually was looking more at was the weapon picture.
Okay.
They showed a picture of a lot of different weapons, and these weapons they remind me of like weapons from World of Warcraft and from the Horde faction. And it's really, I mean, if you Google a Horde weapon from World of Warcraft and take these weapons, they actually are quite similar, and I don't have a problem with that. I actually feel that's really, really, really cool. So I'm looking forward to see more of these evil orc weapons, if you can say so. And then we also saw a little glimpse of other weapons, and I just enjoy that. I'm like a weapon freak. I really care about how my weapon look like. I need a weapon. I mean, I'm probably one of those guys who could pick a weapon over, the look from stats. So I'm so bad at that.
I also saw that one. I'm looking at it right now. Do you have a favorite of the ones that they showed?
For me, I like this one on the top. It's the fifth one in, and it has sort of some like leather bands around the blade as well, and some like rune shapes.
Yeah, the
like
curved
carved in.
one?
Yeah, exactly. It's almost
Yeah.
like an S.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite one of the one that look a bit more crude.
Yeah.
I like the more traditional swords, like the furthest right one on the top row. Looks a bit
the
more
furthest
like
one.
Elenian, I'd say.
With the gold.
Furthest right.
Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I really like that one. I really like the two on the right, the two in the middle, and the one on the left. They look like, I really like those. I prefer those, but the one that you mentioned in between the two on the right and the two in the middle, the crude one with the runes, that looks really good as well.
I think my favorite one is probably the number one, the sword with the red diamond.
At the far left, yeah.
But I wanted bigger. I wanted like I think that could be the bigger, but I wanted that in a two-handed version. I'm not really into one-handed swords. I need a two-hander.
Yeah, I'd probably say the big one, crude one to the right of the one with the diamond. That's probably a two-hander.
I also like on the bottom row the second and third from the far right. So the one with the bone handle, and then the one next to it with like the spiked leather straps on it. Those are both really cool too. I love the shapes in there.
Yeah,
I love the bone handle.
I like the third one from the left, with the like edgy protrusions coming out from like the hilt.
Yeah.
And it's like wrapped in like linen cloth. That looks pretty sick.
Yeah.
That's funny how different we are, because I'm actually a fan of in the bottom number 4, the golden one.
The one, with the wooden stick handle.
Yeah, it reminds me of one of the weapons from a dungeon called UBIS from World of Warcraft. It's really cool.
Any other thoughts on the content update and what we saw there?
Some nice mounts they showed. I mean, they look like
Are they mounts?
They look like they'd be pretty uncomfortable mounts, at least a few in the middle row.
I'd be very happy to have them as enemies as well.
I mean, some of them looks like they have a satchel where you can sit on it.
Yeah, we'll see. Next up on the quarterly update 2 is the behind the scenes video. And DVALIN, in our conversations with Eugene and Pashak, they said we could look forward to seeing more about the studio and a glimpse inside the studio. I had no idea. My small, tiny, fragile brain could not ever imagine such an epic glimpse into the studio that we got. I imagined something more of like a blog post tour with some images, some still photos. We instead got one of the most epic dev diary studio looks I've ever seen. This behind the scenes video was absolutely beautifully made and touching to the heart. Did not expect it, was absolutely pleasantly surprised. And I just have to say, like, this really took us on the entire journey that they've been experiencing as a studio from when the game was first announced to today. So how was this behind the scenes video for you guys, Zeke?
Really interesting to see like how they behave behind the scenes and not just on screen or on or like how they've handled the corona crisis, and that they have their own Discord that like they have for their own team, and like the guy that makes the music, and I can't remember the girl with the cats. I don't remember her name, but yeah, it was amazing to see how they all like have their setup at home and also being able to work from home. And they seem really, really passionate about what they do. That's it, really.
Yeah, for sure. DVALIN?
Well, I mean, I was in the trailer.
You were in the trailer. So was your cup.
Yeah, I saw that cup. Oh my god, yeah. And they were really trying to hide it. But yeah, no. So as you said, Boast, I was so surprised how much we saw. And I mean, this video um, the video guy, I have met him. I can't remember. Oh, that's so embarrassing. I can't remember what his name is. But they have a video producer who's the guy who also held the camera when they came here. And I mean, he's been recording for this video for over half a year, and that's so probably a year. And that's so impressive that he's just been over a year recording small videos all the time. And now finally, after 1 year, he puts it all together. I mean, can you imagine how happy he is to finally, finish that project?
Yeah, for sure. It wasn't just like the amount of footage that was impressive, which it very much was. It was just how professionally edited it was as well. The fade outs, like the dramatic fade outs of the news coverage, the shots of them packing the boxes until the last light was turned off, and then the like revitalization of the studio when the quarantine breaks and they go from rainy days to sunny days of shots of the trees and open balcony doors and things like this. It really was just so moving and well put together.
It was very emotional.
Indeed.
Very teary. I cried almost.
Any last thoughts on the behind the scenes? Okay, for our final topic of the night in the quarterly update 2 is just this little PS postscript, the press kit update down at the bottom. So for those of you making content, for those of you that want to represent Corepunk or Artificial Core, on their website there is a news section, and they have expanded this to make it easier to create content and to use their assets. So in that folder, you can find the PNGs of the logos. You can find PSDs, videos, screenshots, images of the studio, and more. So if that interests you, make sure you go check it out. Guys, any thoughts on that? I know, DVALIN, you were talking, you wished you had more like character cutouts in PNG.
Yeah, I've already been like totally exploring that package, and they it's pretty cool. They added a lot of vector files, so if you have like programs like GIMP, you can go in and cut out the characters yourself. But the only characters we got was only the characters who was in the thumbnail of the 15-minute video. I kind of wish they gave us more, like give us all the hero class portraits, give us all the heroes on a PNG, because I know they have it. They 100% have it on a hard drive somewhere. They just have to like move it over. And because the more they add to that, the more they help us content creators, artists, fan art, all that, the more they give to us. It's just helping. So I would definitely recommend them to just, use some time and give us some more transparent images in there or vector files. It's just, yeah, I would really love to see that.
Unless it takes away from the progress on the game, then don't listen to a word he says.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Guys, it's been a pleasure. Any final last thoughts here on episode 9 of CORECAST, the Corepunk podcast, the quarterly update number 2, 2020? Zeke, any last words?
Happy to be here. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. For me as well. Finally got you here. It's been a great conversation, as it always is when we talk. So I appreciate that. Again, it's great to finally get you on, and I look forward to what we've been planning for episode 10, which would ideally be a big live stream roundtable state of the game discussion with all of our previous guests, which will be really cool. So looking forward to having you back for that. Any shout outs you want to give?
I mean, I'll probably shout out my Twitch. So that's twitch.tv/ZeakQ, ZEAKQ. I'll probably be live streaming Corepunk when it comes out. Mostly going to be PvP content, some PvE content as well. I'm going to try to do both.
Very cool. And the blue deer himself, DVALIN, you're back, and it's always a pleasure to have you. Always a pleasure to talk to you. And is there anything you want to say before we go, or any shout outs you want to give?
No, just thanks for having me again. It's been fun, and And keep in mind, this is first time on CORECAST you have a Swedish person.
That's right. It's a
So,
very international show.
It is.
That's a good
I mean, well, now you have had a Danish, me, and CORECAST is Swedish. Now you just need to find someone who's from Norway.
Oh, that's right. That's
Then
right.
you have the whole Scandinavian crew. But yeah, I'm just, yeah, thanks for having me. And it was a pleasure again talking to you both.
Very cool. Thanks for being here. On behalf of CORECAST, the Corepunk podcast, and our friends at Artificial Core, thank you so much for continuing to support not just this podcast and any live streams we do, but also the game itself. Keep talking in the Discord, keep giving your feedback, keep having these amazing conversations about the game. We know the devs are out there, they're listening, they're paying attention, and they are working their asses off to make a beautiful game for us. I can guarantee you that. We look forward to getting our hands on that in early December. To you at Artificial Core, thank you for your continued passion that you give the community. And that's about it, guys. It's been episode 9. This is a quarterly update. I think we'll probably get one more news piece before the beta hits. But with everyone else out there, I'm waiting with bated breath for that closed beta invite, checking my email every day. So on behalf of CORECAST, the Corepunk podcast, it's been episode 9. I've been your host, BOAST. It's been DVALIN and ZeakQ here as well. And until next time, have a great night and be safe out there.